Hey there, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Makeup Monday. But it's not just Makeup Monday, it's also Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, for today's Makeup Monday, I am going to put on makeup, but also, for the most part, we're going to go into Gather Town and we're going to visit our virtual Oscar Grant Plaza. Claudia's going to be doing some talking. We're just gonna we're gonna enjoy that. I'll probably be putting my makeup on off camera, and then when we're all done, I will go ahead and come back on camera, and then you can see the look. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing it a little different this time. For now, we're not going over to the we're not going over to the Gather Town for another 6 minutes. We're going to be there at 12:30. So why don't I just get started? I already did all the washing and priming and whatnot. So now I'm gonna start with my foundation. And I'm really looking forward to relaxing and listening to some good, inspirational talking, That's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm just going to do like a really light, not a high glam look, something nice and easy. But also wanted to try something kind of new with my lips, and you'll see when I'm all done. We're not doing a bunch, but I am also going to be mostly using my new Juvia's Place haul that I got around Christmas time, because I don't want to miss all my Christmas stuff. Anyway, so foundation's on. Let's do a little bit of concealer. Let's do some concealer. I do need to get more. I need to get more concealer. I never really understood what concealer was for when I was young. And I think maybe that had to do with the fact that I don't know if... I'm not going to say we didn't use it right, but I will say that we didn't know. The potential of it, and mostly it was used to like cover up any kind of blemishes, which it didn't actually cover up blemishes. Mostly it just made it look like there were blemishes. Alright, we're at 4 minutes. It mostly went like, look, someone's covering up a blemish. So I as a young teen, had pretty good skin, so I never really had to worry about a lot of blemishes, so I just didn't think that concealer was something that I needed, and that was for me. Like, I just assumed as such. I didn't know a lot about makeup. I didn't know... I grew up in a majority white area, so I didn't know how to put on makeup for skin like mine. I didn't know what it was supposed to look like. For years, I wore foundations that were too light for me, that did not actually match my correct skin tone. One, because they weren't the colors weren't available, but two, because I just didn't know how to. I didn't know how to color match. I didn't know what it was supposed. I didn't know what it was supposed to look like. Because I would put makeup on that would be similar to say what my friends are, the way that they put their makeup on, but they would look a lot different. Makeup didn't have as high of pigments in them, so like mostly it looked like I was just like wiping charcoaly and ash on my face, and it looked like garbage. And so then I was like, oh well, I just don't know how to wear makeup, and maybe I'm just not like a makeup girly. And then it turned out that I just didn't have the makeup for me, and thank goodness for the internet. Because without that, I would not know where to get different makeup brands, and now I do, and that's awesome. All right, just grabbing this box. Oh, can you see this box here? I am not very organized, and that's okay. Oh, we got 1 minute. So, don't knock anything over me. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna be playing with these two palettes from Juvia's Place, the Magic Mini and the Allure 3. And I will touch base with you in Gathertown, or sorry, not in Gathertown. I will touch base with you after we hang out in Gathertown for a little bit. Claudia's gonna go on a little tour, tell you all about it, and I myself am quite excited for that. At this point, I'm gonna my nose a little bit, sorry. But at this point, what I'm doing is I'm gonna unmute myself in the Gathertown. And by unmuting myself in the Gathertown, I am indicating to Claudia that I'm about to transition over to the celebration. So, at this point, I am going to unmute
Blasted.
The Gathertown, and we can listen.
And our dreams have been shattered.
And now,
the promise of a great society was shipwrecked off the coast of Asia.
Oh, and we are live. And Claudia, I can't hear you at all. I don't know why.
Muted.
There
yeah,
you go.
It's because I was fully muted. Could you hear Martin Luther King in the background that entire time?
Not the entire time, but just for when I started unmuting it, yes, I could.
Yeah, we were listening to the three evils of society. That's a speech that Martin Luther King did in 1967 on poverty, racism, and militarism. Hey, hello, Michelle. Happy Martin Luther King Day. It's nice to be here in the digital space with y'all. So this is what we're doing. I'm just going to give you a layout of what our agenda is. I'm going to give Michelle a chance to say hello in the chat, and then I'm going to get us started. So this is our agenda. I'm just going to talk us through what this space is, what the elements in the space are that we chose to do, why we're here, and then we either get to have a very relaxed conversation about anti-racism, or I get to start reading the Letters from a Birmingham Jail speech because it's so inspiring. But we have been listening to amazing archival speeches from Martin Luther King. I've got them dropped in the chat, and we'll also share this in an article on the Calling of Justice website. There's a lot of amazing recorded speech from Martin Luther King, and it's nice to be able to revisit that language and those ideas. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the space. Hi. I'm saying hi because I'm reacting to notes in the chat, everybody. Okay, so why are we here? It is an official holiday. This is Martin Luther King Day. This is a day that in the United States we have decided we are going to officially set aside to honor the legacy of a racial justice leader, but also to honor the legacy of all of the people who fought for racial justice. This is, in January, all of us just taking a moment to go, hey, how about anti-racism? Hey, how about anti-poverty? Hey, how about anti-imperialism? Hey, how about a lot of the things that Martin Luther King was celebrating and promoting for all of us. So the Anti-Police Terror Project, and I am about to share the screen in a moment. The Anti-Police Terror Project is an organization that's based in the Bay Area, and Calling Up Justice connected with them to say, hey, how can we support your programming? We would love to support your programming. So this is the 12th annual Reclaim Martin Luther King Radical Legacy 2026 March and Weeks of Action, because y'all, they be doing it up. They're not doing it halfway. They're doing it all the way. So they've got Monday, January 19th. They are marching currently right now. For those who are physically unable to join them in the march, that's why we made this digital space. So we talked to them about what do we want to do to this digital space to make it look like the physical space, the neighborhood everyone will be marching in, and the activities everyone will be doing. So they are starting in the streets of Oakland for the 12th annual Reclaim Martin Luther King March, rooted in Reverend Dr. King's uncompromising vision for anti-capitalist, anti-war, racial, and economic justice. They are launching 2 weeks of action starting January 12th, so they've been at it for a little while. Starting with a mass call for independent actions led by the people, for the people, from Oakland to every corner, resisting fascism locally and federally. So that's their poster for the event. And for a lot of us, we're unable to physically join them on the streets. So again, this is us helping to support that. Also, Calling Up Justice is celebrating, well, DJ1. That is Calling Up Justice. This is the Crip Resilience Hub that is Calling Up Justice, One Free Community, and Disability Justice Culture Club. We are supporting their sign language interpreters. So if they have sign language interpreters, we're paying for them. And these are some of the ways that we're supporting what they're doing. But they're doing all kinds of things. They've got the People's House, where they've got a space where you can have healing exchanges, like literal, like get some tinctures, get some oils, get your healing on. They've had this thing called the Stay Reading Trading Series taking place at the Black Arts Movement House. So the People's Clinic is in the People's House. Again, this is for community healing. They have a justice service, which was at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland on Sunday, the 18th. We had the Disability Justice's Beloved Community event that we did yesterday at the Ed Roberts Center. So I was there physically. Jacinia from One Free Community was there physically. We had all of our friends from Disability Justice Culture Club. We had all of our friends from so many different organizations, and we were tabling, and we had a lot of really amazing exchanges there. I have a video I can actually share with you a little bit later to give you a taste of what the Disability Justice's Beloved Community event was about. But I just want to give you a quick taste. All of this is on this website. So like right here, check this out. This link links to us. So the Anti-Police Terror Project has put a link on their website. So if there's somebody who's like, I want to go, I want to be connected to the artistic production that the community is doing to celebrate racial justice and to celebrate this historical moment in America. If there's people who can't physically get there, they can click that button and join us in just a few seconds. So I love that we are figuring figuring out how to scaffold accessibility for all of us. So these are all of these other events. Later on in the week, like Friday, there's the Reclaim Martin Luther King concert fundraiser for the Anti-Police Terror Project. There's more Stay Ready trainings throughout the week. There's Dinner Without Borders next Saturday. So just want to do all of these shout outs. And then to close this all out on Friday, January 30th, Healing the Block, alternatives, discussions with the community. This is a hybrid discussion. Just shout out to the Anti-Police Terror Project for keeping it accessible. We love that. Okay, so the space that we are in and this was by request from the Anti-Police Terror Project. They requested that we share, that we create a replication of the plaza for them. So Maiamama, could you show our audience the Black Arts Movement House that's behind our stage right now? So like a little behind the stage is the Black Arts Movement House. Last August, a bunch of amazing artists. One of them is here with us right now, Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Neurovapor did a lot of amazing work. Sky River did a lot of beautiful, amazing design work. Maiamama was all up in it, creating this replication of the Black Arts Movement House. So that's what that space is. And there's going to be activities happening, trainings and activities happening in that real physical space throughout the week. So I just wanted to give you a little taste of that. Now in Oakland, you actually have to walk your body more than just a few feet to get to Frank Ogawa Plaza or to the plaza that we call Oscar Grant Plaza. So just to give you a little taste of that, let me share the screen again. Da, 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 da. Boom. So Frank Ogawa Plaza, there's this oak tree growing in Frank Ogawa Plaza, so we made sure to have this iconic oak tree. We actually had this amazing encounter with Petra Kupper's Planting Disabled Futures, where we talked about the trees and their colonialist legacies in the community, and how the oak tree is really the iconic tree for this area. It's not the redwood. The redwood is coastal. This is why the shape of this tree is often an icon that we use to represent Oakland. So that's the significance of that tree and why we put it in our digital space. Now we have this beautiful poster, right, that we have inside the space, and I'm gonna have Maya show it to you in just a minute. But before I stop sharing screen, I wanna. Well, actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop sharing the screen so Maya can show you that poster. So there's a poster that we placed at the kind of at the base of this Frank Ogawa Plaza, and it says "Memory is Solidarity," and as a beautiful artwork of Oscar Grant. It says, I am Frank Ogawa, and it has another one that says, Memory of Solidarity, I am Oscar Grant. And I'm just going to read a little bit from this essay. Again, I put a bunch of links to these essays in our chat, and I'm going to be putting these inside an article on the Calling of Justice website. So, historical records tell us Mexico and Spain's name for Oakland's area, but finding out whether the Ohlone call it presently is difficult. Obviously, one community's memory, imagination, and aspiration has become dominant over others. The ability to name reflects a community's power to leverage that memory into an official story. In hundreds of cities, there are streets and schools named after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Cesar Chavez's name is found in fewer places. Malcolm X's list is shorter still. There are also places named informally, such as DeFremery Park in West Oakland, which is often called Little Bobby Hutton Park. It's hard to find a public place named after an Asian American, much less an Asian American woman. And when I first moved to Oakland years ago, I was amazed to find that the plaza in front of City Hall was named after a Japanese American man, Frank H. Ogawa. It made me feel like it was okay for me to be here. I would be acknowledged as real. Ogawa was the first Japanese American to serve on the Oakland City Council, which he did as a Republican for 28 years until his death in 1994. He was also imprisoned in an internment camp in Topaz, Utah during World War II for 3.5 years solely on the basis of his race, along with about 120,000 other Japanese Americans. Other notables interned at Topaz included Black Panther Richard Aoki, civil rights icon Fred Korematsu, artist Minnie Oboku, and others. So when the Occupy Oakland encampment changed Frank H. Ogawa Plaza to Oscar Grant Plaza, I initially didn't think too much of it. I was more concerned about the term occupy, which for me had always been a very strong colonialist and imperialist connotation. In New Mexico, protesters renamed their movement Unoccupy Albuquerque to connect their fight against corporate greed down to the fact that American Indian land has been occupied for centuries. I felt the plaza's renaming reflected a bridging of the movement to a prominent local issue, police brutality. But I gradually became aware that many people, not just Asian Americans, felt unsettled about the renaming of Frank H. Ogawa Plaza. So I'm going to pause here because I'm reading to you the history of the naming of this place. So I attended meetings where they clearly said, Claudia, we would like for Calling Up Justice to make Oscar Grant Plaza. But when I look up Oscar Grant Plaza is officially actually called Frank Ogawa Plaza. And what was the work we were doing last year that Michelle, you were doing alongside us? It was looking at the history of Fred Korematsu, looking at the history of Japanese internment. So like all of these histories are tied together. So like in 2011, the story of this space is that the people decided to start renaming this space as as Oscar Grant Plaza. So we are in a digital Frank Ogawa Plaza and a digital Oscar Grant Plaza, and it felt important to Calling Up Justice for us to honor both of those histories in this digital space. Thank you for listening to me say a little bit more about that in detail. Now, the other significance about this location is that this is where Oakland has City Hall. This is the Oakland City Hall building. Now, in the real world, in the physical space, the stage is really, it's not like a fancy, awesome stage like the one we have in our digital imagination. That's like this beautiful wooden stage where we're imagining ourselves on a sprung floor. It's just concrete. It's just a beautiful concrete circle that's in front of the City Hall. There's a lot of performances that take place inside city halls, outside city halls, near the spaces where civic engagement takes place. Calling Up Justice is so proud to be able to create digital space that also allows you to hook into the imaginative idea of being a performer in the United States and getting to be part of the performance that's taking place. So just know right now, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Americans standing outside of city halls all over the country. Oftentimes, the Martin Luther King Day celebration ends up being a part of the city celebration because it is an official holiday, and it often ends up being near one of these buildings. So we're imagining ourselves surrounded by lots of people in this area. So I have now spoken to you about the tree. The last thing I want to talk to you about is, and actually, let me see, I don't know if I said the name of the artist. So Kenji Liu is the designer, educator, and poet and cultural worker who wrote the essay that I linked and made that beautiful piece of artwork. The statue that we have is a Breonna Taylor statue. And the Breonna Taylor statue was created by Leo Carson. It was originally made out of something that was not super durable, and it got immediately attacked and torn down. And so then they did a fundraiser, and they were able to replace it with bronze. So that's what this is. And Breonna Taylor was an African-American woman who was murdered by the police. So again, the significance of this location, this physical location where the Anti-Police Terror Project is producing it. We are at the foot of City Hall. We are surrounded by an iconic tree. We are surrounded by a statue that was placed by the people to honor Breonna Taylor and to honor the fight against police brutality, the fight against state violence. And in many ways, that's what Martin Luther King was doing. So we are honored that the Anti-Police Terror Project invited us to do this. Michelle, just want to do a shout out for the last minute beautiful design labor that you did to help manifest this space. We would not have like the literal signs for the Martin Luther King Day celebration. Those signs would not exist if Michelle had not been doing a little bit of coding action with us. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, friends. Now comes the moment. Now, I would love to live stream the performance that's taking place at that location. We don't have the thousands of dollars yet, but give me till next year. Give me till next year. It is going to take me investing a little bit more money and having a more bulked out team that's physically there to make this live stream work really well. They are live streaming, but the audio it's just got a mixed quality. So for our purposes, we're hooking in really deeply to the point of the day, the point of the event. We are connecting with all of the other events that are going to be taking place. Some of those events are hybrid events. So there might be some racial justice, Oakland-specific events that you want to attend through the computer. I recommend Anti-Police Terror Project as a group of organizers. I think that they connect you to good ideas and good things. But for now, the question is, do we want to just have a short conversation about racial justice, or do you want me to share an excerpt from the speech that I often read? I often read letters from a Birmingham jail. I read this at least once a year. So yeah, what do folks want to do? We're in the space. We're community. We're just chit-chatting now.
Hey, Claudia, this is Maiamama speaking.
Hi.
Hold on, I'm gonna put my camera on really quick just because I'm here. Hi.
Your face is so pretty.
Thank you. I'm just doing my makeup while I'm listening to you. I was just gonna say I would love to hear the letters. That's just my opinion. That's what I would love to hear. And that's me.
All right. All right, this is a long speech, y'all. I love this speech. So the question is, do I read an excerpt or do I just get into it? Here's the deal. I don't remember the best part, so I'm just going to get into it and see what happens. All right. This was written in 1963. Imagine Martin Luther King sitting in jail as he's writing the speech, right? And also, I want to root us into the present moment. Minnesota's occupied. Like there are areas of California where we have friends who cannot properly produce their work. Like literally some of the labor I was doing this year, like at the beginning of the year, was trying to help some of our organizers who create accessible dance space to find a new location because the space they're at is invaded by ICE and is no longer safe for them to gather people, because they know that the second they gather people, the state will come and interview them and take some of those people away and round some of those people up. Minnesota just has a lot of officers of the state randomly rounding people up outside of judicial process. That's why we like to use the term extrajudicial. So there's just a lot of resonance between today and what was going on in the 60s. My dear fellow clergymen, while confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activities unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas. If I sought to answer all the criticism that crossed my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything other than such correspondence in the course of a day, and I would have no time for constructive work. But since I feel you are men of goodwill, and that your criticisms are sincerely set forth, I want to try to answer your statement in what I hope will be patient and reasonable terms. I think I should indicate why I am here in Birmingham, since you have been influenced by the view that argues against outsiders coming in. I have the honor of serving as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an organization operating in every southern state, with headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. We have some 85 affiliated organizations across the South, and one of them is the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights. Frequently, we share staff, educational, and financial resources with our affiliates. Several months ago, the affiliate here in Birmingham asked us to be on call to engage in a nonviolent direct action program if such were deemed necessary. We readily consented, and when the hour came, we lived up to our promise. So I, along with several members of my staff, am here because I was invited here. I am here because I have organizational ties here. But more basically, I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. Just as the prophets of the 8th century BC left their villages and carried their "Thus saith the Lord" far beyond the boundaries of their hometowns, and just as the Apostle Paul left his village of Tarsus and carried the gospel of Jesus Christ to the far corners of the Greco-Roman world, so am I compelled to carry the gospel of freedom beyond my own hometown. Like Paul, I must constantly respond to the Macedonian call for aid. Moreover, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds. You deplore the demonstrations taking place in Birmingham, but your statement, I am sorry to say, fails to express a similar concern for the conditions that brought about the demonstrations. I am sure that none of you would want to rest content with the superficial kind of social analysis that deals merely with effects and does not grapple with underlying causes. It's unfortunate that demonstrations are taking place in Birmingham, but it's even more unfortunate that the city's white power structure left the Negro community with no alternative. In any nonviolent campaign, there are 4 basic steps. Collection of the facts to determine whether injustices exist. Negotiation, self-purification, and direct action. We have gone through all these steps in Birmingham. There can be no gainsaying the fact that racial injustice engulfs this country, this community. Birmingham is probably the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. Its ugly history of brutality is widely known. Negroes have experienced grossly unjust treatment in the courts. There have been more unsolved bombings of Negro homes and churches in Birmingham than in any other city in the nation. And these are the hard, brutal facts of the case. On the basis of these conditions, Negro leaders sought to negotiate with the city fathers. But the latter consistently refused to engage in good faith negotiations. Then, last September, came the opportunity to talk with leaders of Birmingham's economic community. In the course of the negotiations, certain promises were made by the merchants, for example, to remove the store's humiliating racial signs. On the basis of these promises, the Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth and the leaders of the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights agreed to a moratorium on all demonstrations. As the weeks and months went by, we realized that we were the victims of a broken promise. A few signs briefly removed, returned, and others just remained. As in so many past experiences, our hopes had been blasted, the shadow of deep disappointment settled upon us. We had no alternative except to prepare for direct action, whereby we would present our very bodies as a means of laying our case before the conscience of our local and the national community. Mindful of the difficulties involved, we decided to undertake a process of self-purification. We began a series of workshops on nonviolence. And we repeatedly asked ourselves, are you able to accept blows without retaliating? Are you able to endure the ordeal of jail? We decided to schedule our direct action program for the Easter season. Realizing that except for Christmas, this is the main shopping period of the year. Knowing that a strong economic withdrawal program would be the byproduct of direct action, we felt that this would be the best time to bring pressure to bear on the merchants for the needed change. And then it occurred to us that Birmingham's mayoral election was coming up in March, and we speedily decided to postpone action until after Election Day. When we discovered that the Commissioner of Public Safety, Eugene Bull Connor, had pulled up enough votes to be in the runoff, we decided again to postpone action until the day after the runoff so that the demonstration could not be used to cloud the issues. Like many others, we waited to see Mr. Connor defeated. And to this end, we endured postponement after postponement. Having aided in this community need, we felt that our direct action program could be delayed no longer. You may well ask, why direct action? Why sit-ins, marches, and so forth? Isn't negotiation a better path? You are quite right in calling for negotiation. Indeed, this is the very purpose of direct action. Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and foster such a tension that a community which has consistently refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue. It seeks to dramatize the issue that it can no longer be ignored. My citing the creation of tension as part of the work of the nonviolent resistor may sound rather shocking, but I must confess that I am not afraid of the word tension. I have earnestly opposed a violent tension, but there is a type of constructive, nonviolent tension which is necessary for growth. Just as Socrates felt that it was necessary to create a tension in the mind so that individuals could rise from the bondage of myths and half-truths to the unfettered realm of creative analysis and objective appraisal, so must we see the need of nonviolent gadflies to create the kind of tension in society that would help men rise from the dark depths of prejudice and racism to the majestic heights of understanding and brotherhood. The purpose of our direct action program is to create a situation so crisis-packed that it will inevitably open the door to negotiation. I therefore concur with you in your call for negotiation. Too long has our beloved Southland been bogged down in tragic effort to live in monologue rather than dialogue. I'm going to pause here and just say, I forgot why I love this speech so much. It's a clapback. Like, basically, Martin Luther King is sitting in jail, finding out that all of these white preachers wrote a letter that was like, you should negotiate more. Calm down, black people. We're so sorry Martin Luther King made a ruckus. We're not part of that. And Martin Luther King was like, let me respond to what you all said. So that's why I like this so much. One of the basic points in your statement is that the action that I and my associates have taken in Birmingham is untimely. Some have asked, why didn't you give the new city administrative time to act? The only answer that I can give to this query is that the new Birmingham administration must be prodded about as much as the outgoing one before it will act. We are sadly mistaken if we feel that the election of Albert Boutwell as mayor will bring the millennium to Birmingham. While Mr. Boutwell is a much more gentle person than Mr. Connor, they are both segregationists dedicated to maintenance of the status quo. I hope that Mr. Boutwell will be reasonable enough to see the futility of massive resistance to desegregation. But he will not see this without pressure from devotees of civil rights. My friends, I must say to you that we have not made a single gain in civil rights without determined legal and nonviolent pressure. Lamentably, it is a historical fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Individuals may see the moral light and voluntarily give up their unjust posture, but, and Reinhold Niebuhr has reminded us, groups tend to be more immoral than individuals. We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Frankly, I have yet to engage in a direct action campaign that was well timed in the view of those who have not suffered unduly with the disease of segregation. For years now, I have heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every Negro with piercing familiarity. And this wait has almost always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. The nations of Asia and Africa are moving with jet-like speed towards gaining political independence, but we still creep at horse and buggy pace towards gaining a cup of coffee at the lunch counter. Perhaps it's easy for those who've never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait. But when you've seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you've seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your black brothers and sisters, when you see the vast majority of your 20 million Negro brothers smoldering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of an affluent society, when you suddenly find your tongue twisted and your speech stammering as you seek to explain to your 6-year-old daughter why she can't go to the public amusement park that has been advertised on television, and see tears welling in her eyes when she is told that Funtown is closed to colored children, and see ominous clouds of inferiority beginning to form in her little mental sky, and see her beginning to distort her personality by developing an unconscious bitterness towards white people. When you have to concoct an answer for a 5-year-old son who's asking, Daddy, why do white people treat colored people so mean? When you take a cross-country drive and find it necessary to sleep night after night in the uncomfortable corners of your automobile because no motel will accept you. When you are humiliated day in and day out by nagging signs reading white and colored, when your first name becomes nigger, when middle name becomes boy, however old you are, and your last name becomes John, and your wife and mother are never given the respected title Mrs., when you are harried by day and hunted by night by the fact that you are a Negro living constantly at tiptoe stance, never quite knowing what to expect next, nor plagued with inner fears and outer resentments, when you are forever fighting a degenerating sense of nobodiness, that you will understand why we find it difficult to wait. There comes a time when the cup of endurance runs over and men are no longer willing to be plunged into the abyss of despair. I hope, sirs, you can understand our legitimate and unavoidable impatience. You express a great deal of anxiety over our willingness to break laws. This is certainly a legitimate concern. Since we so diligently urge people to obey the Supreme Court's decision of 1954 outlawing segregation in the public schools, at first glance it may seem rather paradoxical for us consciously to break laws. One may well ask, how can you advocate breaking some laws and obeying others? The answer lies in the fact that there are two types of laws, just and unjust. I would be the first to advocate obeying just laws. One has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. I would agree with St. Augustine that an unjust law is no law at all. I'm going to pause here. To a certain extent, this is why I'm reading this speech, because the governor of what's Tim Walz's job? What's Tim Walz's job? I'm so sloppy, y'all. Tim Walz did like a speech to everybody, like an emergency speech, be like, hey everyone, so the federal government is spending millions and millions of your tax dollars to send federal troops to just round people up, just knock on your door and round you up. Don't break the law, though. And I was like, Tim, I think we know better. I think Martin Luther King did a speech in the 60s that helped us to understand better. I thought he was governor. Yeah, he's governor. Yeah. Y'all, I just know he's in charge of stuff. But yeah, I would agree with St. Augustine as well, that an unjust law is no law at all. And while they might be able to come up with a story about how it's illegal to stop someone from rounding somebody up illegally and putting them in an illegal cage, I don't know, right? So I just go, I think Tim might need to revisit Martin Luther King. Now, what is the difference between the two? How does one determine whether a law is just or unjust? A just law is a man-made code that squares with the moral law or the law of God. An unjust law is a code that is out of harmony with the moral law. To put it in the terms of St. Thomas Aquinas, an unjust law is a human law that is not rooted in eternal law and natural law. Any law that uplifts human personality is just. Any law that degrades human personality is unjust. All segregation statuses are unjust because segregation distorts the soul and damages the personality. It gives the segregator a false sense of superiority and the segregated a false sense of inferiority. Segregation, to use the terminology of the Jewish philosopher Martin Buber, substitutes an I-it relationship for an I-thou relationship and ends up relegating persons to the status of things. Hence, segregation is not only politically, economically, and sociologically unsound, it's morally wrong and sinful. Paul Tillich has said that the sin is separation. It is not segregation in an existential expression of man's tragic separation, his awful estrangement, his awful sinfulness. Thus, it is that I can urge men to obey the 1954 decision of the Supreme Court, for it is morally right. And I can urge them to disobey segregation ordinances, for they are morally wrong. Let us consider a more concrete example of just and unjust laws. An unjust law is a code that a numerical or power majority group compels a minority group to obey, but does not make binding on itself. This is a piece that I sometimes want to quote and read to other people because the not binding on itself stuff is really good. So, let us consider a more concrete example of just and unjust law. An unjust law is a code that a numerical or power majority group compels a minority group to obey but does not make binding on itself. This is difference made legal. By the same token, a just law is a code that a majority compels a minority to follow and that it is willing to follow itself. This is the sameness. This is sameness made legal. Let me give another explanation. A law is unjust if it is inflicted on a minority that, as a result, is being denied the right to vote, had no part in enacting or devising the law. Who can say that the legislature of Alabama, which set up the state's segregation laws, was democratically elected? Throughout Alabama, all sorts of devious methods are used to prevent Negroes from being registered voters. And there are some counties in which, even though Negroes constitute a majority of the population, not a single Negro is registered. Can any law enacted under such circumstances be considered democratically structured? Sometimes a law is just on its face and unjust in its application. For instance, I have been arrested on a charge of parading without a permit. Now, there's nothing wrong in having such an ordinance, which requires a permit for a parade. But such an ordinance becomes unjust when it's used to maintain segregation and deny citizens the first American privilege of peaceful assembly and protest. I hope you're able to see the distinction I'm trying to point out. In no sense do I advocate evading or defying the law, as would a rabid segregationist. That would lead to anarchy. One who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and with a willingness to accept the penalty. I submit that an individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and who willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice is in reality expressing the highest respect for law. Of course, there's nothing new about this kind of civil disobedience. It was evident sublimely in the refusal of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to obey the laws of Nebuchadnezzar. Y'all, I'm not really a Christian, so I don't get all of these references they're making, but I really am feeling what he has to say. We're almost to the end of this. Well, actually, are we? Oh my lord! Actually, y'all. Okay, here's the deal. This speech keeps going. It's a really good speech. I am losing my voice. We've been at this for about an hour. I want to say happy Martin Luther King Day. Y'all should read this speech. It is so good. It is such a good speech. And the points that Martin Luther King is making, I think, are points that have a lot of resonance with what's going on in the world today. Thank you for joining us here in this digital space. Thank you to our colleagues for helping us to build this. Thank you to the Anti-Police Terror Project for their partnership and producing. And also just thank you to all of the people who are celebrating this holiday today. All right, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye and happy holiday.
Okay, and now I'm just like transitioning back to just me, and I'm gonna finish up my makeup, and I've muted the Gather Town. That was fantastic. That was wonderful. I wish Claudia's throat hadn't died, because I was like, yeah, say more, say more. I was talking back with my screen a lot. So thank you so much, Claudia. We're gonna go back to finishing up my makeup, and then we're gonna check out perhaps a game. We'll see what's going on. So thank you so much for that. And I am doing some more things. I'm gonna leave the Gather Town and be back with you. So I'm doing my lips now. So like I've pretty much gotten everything. I need to do mascara, but I'm doing my lips, and what I'm doing is this brown liner. It's actually supposed to be like a brow liner. It says Luxe liner in brownie. And I don't know. I'm using it to do my lips cuz it's a good brown color. And oh, it's real quiet. Let's get a little That's better. All right. All right, using all black. I guess black makeup makers, creators, black companies. So like that's cool. I like to do that. All right, let's finish up my lips. I'm liking this. And I know it's funny how I said, oh no, you can't see my captions because I made it so that you couldn't see my captions. Anyway, I was saying, I'm just gonna finish. Oh, I wasn't gonna do something like super glamorous, but I was just like listening and vibing, and this is what happened. I dig it though. I like really dig it. So I'm making this liner just like a little thicker. And now I'm gonna use this. Is this the right color? Is this the lipstick? Yeah, this will do. This color. Okay. Make sure. Sometimes it can just be like real like zen to and relaxing to just like hyper focus on one feature. Okay. Let's do mascara first. I'm using Big Timer by the Lip Bar. I like this mascara. It's got B12 or B5 in it. And it's volumizing mascara. I just like it. I think it's good. Okay, mascara is done, and now... Oh, and I put a little, shimmer on these 3 points. 2, 3. And now, I'm gonna finish it off with this, it's blue. Like, it's kind of blue, but it's mostly clear because it's lip gloss, right? Now you'll notice I'm not smearing it on. That's because I did so much work getting these colors to blend that if I just took this lip gloss and just took the wand and was like, wouldn't that like just smear all of this beautiful stuff? So I use my fingers. Make sure it's applied everywhere, but oh hey, I didn't see you there in the chat. This makeup look is inspired by racial justice. Right before I went on, I was talking about how I didn't know how to put on makeup because I grew up in a mostly white area. And so it's and it wasn't like I could learn to put on makeup by my peers, which is where most people learn how to, that's where most people learn how to make themselves cute, is from their peers. And when you have peers that don't look like you, the way that they look, the way that they get to look cute, it isn't the same way for you. It just doesn't work out. My hair is not the same hair. Now, like, I do want to, I'm going to squish down so, like, you can see. Like, look how much growth I've had. Like, I just put my hair in this, like, in a high pony. And then poofed it out. And I just love it. But, like, I've spent a lot of time growing it. I've been using this spray hair oil called Roots from, oh, it's a product tie-in from the comic Roots of Madness, and it smells so good, and I'm gonna have to purchase more when I get it, but it's made by a company called Black Obsidian, or no, Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix. It's hard to see. I have old people eyes. Yeah, it's Black Phoenix Alchemy. That's who makes it. And it smells so good, and it's so nice. And they have a bunch of different, like, spray oils that you can put in your hair. Help it be shiny and help it stay healthy, help it smell good. But, like, these types of things were not available for me. So I thought maybe I just wasn't, like, the kind of girl that liked doing that stuff. Because I didn't have, like, it just wasn't, it wasn't available to me. Eyeshadow looked like me smearing ash onto my face because it was so, because there wasn't enough pigment in it. So mostly when you put it on, when I put it on my skin, the dark color of my skin would just eat up the color. And so you wouldn't see anything like this, ever. Like I could never get this amount of color on my face because frankly, they didn't make products. The only way that I could get these kind of looks when I was a young person was by using stage makeup. Good old Ben Nye. Ben Nye. The makeup guy. It truly it was like if I wanted my face to look like I was wearing makeup and like have it look like passable, then I had to use my stage makeup. For like a good color foundation, for and for like for eye colors, for any, for blushes, for any of those colors, because the other makeup brands were lazy and didn't, for some reason, didn't think that black people had money to spend. So that's why I generally don't spend my money with those people, and I use black makeup brands like Juvia's Place and like the Lip Bar. They're not paying me to say that. I pay them to give me makeup. That's actually the deal that we have, this product deal going on where I give them money and then they give me the product, like this lip gloss, like and like really all of the makeup, like all of the makeup that I receive. It's actually a really, really great deal, and any of you can get in on that at the ground floor. All you need to do is spend your money with them, and you too can get the makeup that you choose and spend money on. It's great. Hey, look, do you see the little Enterprise? Oh no, 1 moon circles, am I right? Oh man, sorry. I made the camera out of focus, and then it felt like I too was, like, my eyes were out of focus, but it was just a camera. Yeah, I'm digging this look. I like the lips. I think it's a fun look. Yeah, I learn more and more and more about this art form of putting paint on my face all the time. And I have discovered that I can wear makeup. I can style myself, and yeah, black is beautiful. You know, I knew that. But did I know that? I didn't embody it. And now I feel like I embody it. But this is cute as hell. Take some pictures. Don't you want to take a picture of me? Do it. Click, 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 click. Click the clip button on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, you just like clip it. I'm gonna click it. Look, I just clipped it. And it'll clip like a minute or so. It's really cool. Like if you like this. So we've been on for a little over an hour, about an hour 10. I was thinking about playing a game, but unlike some, I actually do have work. I work every day, but I actually especially work on Black holidays. I especially work on Black holidays. And so I should probably do some work, but this was so fun, so amazing, so rewarding, enriching. I feel really good. I feel jazzed and like ready to get out there. Take a look at that. And I used Juvia's Place palettes and lip colors, and the only thing I didn't use that I guess this one is that isn't a black makeup maker is the Wet n Wild. But I do know it's not owned by a white company, so I don't know. You tell me. Because that's why I'm here. It is. I'm here to listen to you. So I've been playing some of the Drifter I appreciate a game that like lets you learn from your mistakes, and that is a game that you learn from your mistakes in kind of a fun way. In a fun way. Also a eldritchy horror-y. Well, not eldritch horror. It's like Cronenberg. Cronenberg? Is Cronenberg the guy that I'm thinking of? Cronenberg, he plays Kovich in Discovery, but he also, didn't he direct The Fly? And like he does the like gross horror? Is that, I need someone to tell me if that's who I'm thinking, if I'm thinking of the correct person. Like, let me know in the chat. But like, it's kind of like you got some, it's like got some Garth Marenghi and some Cronenberg mixed up. And I'm very pleased that it's all in pixels, so I don't actually have to see. I can just use my active Muppet Baby imagination. By Muppet Baby imagination, what I mean is, like, I have the ability to create worlds right up here. We make our dreams come true. When the world looks kind of weird and you wish that you weren't there, just close your eyes and make believe, and you can be anywhere. So that's your bit of inspiration. That's your bit of inspiration for you. Use that Muppet Baby imagination. If you're bored, close your eyes, be somewhere else. One moon circles. Who are you? Ah! I'm gonna drop things. I'm gonna make a bunch of noise. No, I'm not. Okay. We did it! I'm gonna bloop off this camera. That's when my finger's up, so I can go boop, because that's what I usually do when I turn off the camera. I try to, like, time it. And then I'm gonna say the things. And then I'll be back on Wednesday for Gaming for Justice. We're either going to play more of the Drifter, or we're going to look at, or I'm going to look into another cool justice game that we can talk about, like justice related things on it. Which this, you know, I gotta say, the Drifter has a lot about like people's opinions on addiction, on the houseless population, despite the fact that I think it's like, now I didn't do any heavy research, so you all can correct me, but it's like Australian or from New Zealand. It's from Australia or New Zealand. It's from one of those. And I'm sorry, I just haven't gotten to a place yet where my ears can easily detect the difference. I know that there is a difference. But like, it's one of those things where I would have to hyper focus it, and I just don't have that in my realm of paying attention to stuff. So hold on, I'm just grabbing some stuff. I'm knocking things over. Don't forget, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Give a black person some money. Boop. And that's what I'm gonna close this with. Thank you so much for joining us. Makeup Monday is a Calling Up Justice production. I am your host, Maiamama. Special thanks to our executive producer, Claudia Alick. For more information, check out the links in the show notes on YouTube. And I'll be back on Wednesday for Gaming for Justice. So glad to have you with us. And like I said, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Give black people, give a black person some money. Do it. Okay, bye. I love you.